Foundation published in
You have a lot of people.
Geo, everybody. Yeah. All right. How's it going? I am the Fierce Truth Seeker, and I am joined with co-host and guest Firebird, Grey Wolf.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you. Peace and blessings.
Yeah. So, it's good to be back. And today we will be doing part 8 of the Moors and Indians, friends or enemies, part 8. Okay. And today what we'll be doing is talking about more hatred slash Moorophobia and its roots in Pan-Africanism or Afrocentricity. Okay. And I always like to go forward with the information. I won't be covering too much that was already covered in the previous lectures. Okay, if there is something regarding the information that you have missed, some of the elementary stuff like definitions of the word more, who the Moors are in terms of the Americas and things of that nature, and etymologies and stuff like that. I will urge you to stop this video now and go and look at the lecture series from the beginning, starting with the first. This particular lecture series is entitled "The Empire Strikes Black." That is what this particular lecture series is called, and under that particular heading is a series of lectures. The first of which was the origins and lineage, or should I say the lineage of today's Aboriginal movement. Then we finished that and we went on to Moors and Indians, friends or enemies. Okay, so I will be doing part 8. So some people may have questions and concerns that they may want addressed, but I may do a recap of some things, but we're going forward with the presentation to bring new information. Okay. Um, so with that said, um, I would first like to start off with um, I know there's still some concerns regarding the semantics of um, tribal definitions and things of that nature, nationality and things like that. Some people are not clear regarding the terms Native American, Indian, indigenous, American Indian, Aboriginal, autochthonous, things of that nature. Um, so we went over that already in the previous, the last two um, lectures. We may revisit that a little bit, but we're not going to waste too much time on that because we already showed you where the establishment does not care if you call yourself uh, American Indian, um, Aboriginal, um, Indian, Native American. They don't make any distinction distinguishing those of you who call yourselves Aboriginal today or American Indian today who are part of the online movement called the um, Aborigines, American Aborigines today. They don't make that distinction. Um, they, it's, as far as the establishment is concerned, um, that's just referring to the people who are tribally affiliated, um, federally recognized Indians, or state recognized. They don't make that. That's just a matter of personal semantics. They don't make that distinction. And I will start by there was a couple of concerns regarding that. So I guess we can open up because there was a couple of comments that I really didn't get a chance to fully engage because I was prepping for this particular live. So I'll just incorporate that in the live, and I apologize to anyone who I didn't get a chance to really respond to your comments. So I will address them while we're doing the live. But I won't call any names because I don't want to put anybody on the spot, and I don't want to, because again, um, these comments are coming from, it's not just coming from one person, it's coming from more than one person. And I get these comments not just in the comment section on YouTube, but I also get them on Facebook. So I don't want any one person to feel that they are being singled out, because the comments are coming from many different people who follow this movement that they call the Aboriginal movement today. So um let's see. There's a comment. Let's see here.
Hi, Lil Mayhem. Hi, Steven Starr. How are you? And everyone else.
Give me 1 second. Okay, so with regards to the label Indian, there's a comment that says, "We know that the word has many different meanings, and for myself, when addressing the government, I have placed the definition from Bovier's Law Dictionary, first edition, the Aboriginal people are called, and put them on notice that this will be the only way the term Indian will be used nunc pro tunc. It is very tough to hear the duality, but I said I'd listen, blah, 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 blah." Okay, so I will um, give you, Firebird, the opportunity to respond um, to that. What would you like to say? Now, this is I'm letting Firebird um, speak to this because y'all are not gonna believe me. So I have someone else to say it because if I say it, y'all are not gonna believe me. Okay, even though you know I've been in this, for decades. Y'all are still not gonna believe it coming from me. So sometimes you have to hear it coming from somebody else. Okay, and again, Firebird is tribally affiliated. She's a clan mother. She's been active in the Native American community um, before I was even born. Okay, and she has been in many different social and political arenas. Okay, as well as in legal um, uh, uh, um, on legal platforms as well. Okay, so I will let you tell them since they won't believe me.
Okay. Well, actually, starting with the term Aboriginal, we basically don't even use that terminology in court. And it's an ancient term, but indigenous and Aboriginal actually really mean the same thing. It means the first people of the land, but we don't really use the term Aboriginal. We use indigenous. This is really a new movement, recalling some ancient words that have been put out there. That word Aboriginal is used very loosely in the court system, um, if used at all. If you're fighting for tribal rights, sovereignty, federal, state, we use the term indigenous or Native American, American Indian, um, native. All these terms really are used in the legal system. Now, this movement, Aboriginal, is a very old title, and the presidents in the past, say like the 1700s, many of them used the word Aboriginal, but we didn't have many cases of Indians going into court there at that time period and using the name Aboriginal.
Now, when they did that, Firebird, were they referring to people that we call African Americans today when they were using that term in court, Aboriginal?
No, they were doing it for the so-called red man, or the what they feel is the first people of the land. They don't really they don't really consider uh, African Americans as the Aboriginals of the land. You know, whether you may feel it's racial or not, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. Um, if you are called an African American, a label of "oh, you're from Africa" is being stuck on you. Um, so that doesn't apply to the Aboriginals that they're speaking about historically. You know, we all know that Indian is the wrong word. That was a description of people from another country, but the word Aboriginal was used in early history. Now, someone apparently did some research and found that word, and they separated it from the word indigenous, but actually, they're one and the same, you know, native, all those terms. But as I said, once we go into court, the first people of the land, or indigenous, or Native American, or American Indian, are primarily used. And they don't describe that as anything dealing with African American.
Yeah. So you hearing it from the horse's mouth.
No disrespect to anyone. It is
No
what it
disrespect.
is.
Right.
I haven't made Fierce Truth Seeker. Neither one of us have anything to do with how the court system, you know, functions and their classifications. But Aboriginal means first people, indigenous first people, the ancient ones. You know, it also means that as well, the first people of the land. So I hope I'm not offending anyone, confusing that with African American, but it's not. It's not the same.
Mm-mm. It's not. And see, I had to bring someone else. You know, um, because you're not gonna believe me. So sometimes, it's just like when you're dealing with children or whatever. A child, may think that you're just old and crazy. So sometimes you gotta, bring somebody else in, say the same thing. Um, I
You know, you
mean,
hear terms like the first people, the original people, native people, initial people, ancient people, primeval people, you know, primordial people, those kind of terms, but those are not really used either, you know. Um, like I said, indigenous is strongly used all through Turtle Island, you know,
Yeah,
and this new movement, I'm a little bit confused how people are confusing it with African American. You know, we're not talking about the 400,000 African people that got here. You know, we're talking about the term African American and applying it to indigenous.
yeah. See, what these people have to realize is that I got to just call it what it is. You've been lied to. Um, you've fallen for the okey doke. Okay. Um, I hate to say it, and sometimes you just have to, um, see something for what it is. Because what's going to happen is you guys are going to go into court, and everybody's going to laugh at you. May even throw cuffs on you. Okay. If you go in there with that nonsense, you know, um, you can self-identify however you want. Now that's whether or not, the courts are gonna distinguish you any differently, from your belief system, is another story. Okay. Um, it's just say, like I said, man, I've been in this a long time. I know people calling themselves American Aborigines. I know people calling themselves Moors. It's a whole lot of Moors who believe in a lot of mythology too. Okay. We haven't even gotten there yet. A lot of Moors are disillusioned, about a lot of things. Okay. So I'm not excusing them either. you know I could I don't I'm not partial to any one ideology. I am only partial to truth and reality. Okay, and that's how you have to be. you know I'm not with dogma. you know and a lot of what we find in these ideologies today is dogma. What they call American Aboriginal movement today has become a religion. And why I say it has become a religion and a cult is because you have many people who, it's just like the church. You could tell people that uh, uh, Jesus is not God of the universe all you want until you're blue in the face. But they will look at you and say, hey, no, 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 no. Jesus is my Lord and Savior. Ain't nobody gonna tell me about my Jesus, sweet Jesus. Okay, nobody ain't gonna tell me about the Lord. See, the Lord Jesus died on the cross for my sin, and the
What,
Lord Jesus.
what they fail to
Well, you need to
what they
repent,
fail to
or else you will be
what
bound
they
to hell for all eternity. The Lord Jesus is my light and my salvation. And I'm not gonna let a sin, gonna let a doggone sinner tell me that my Lord Jesus Christ is not God. Almighty God. Do you hear me? You need to repent and accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. And I can say, well, show me some scripture. Don't tell me nothing about don't the Lord says, do not come to him in arrogance. You don't question the word of the Lord. I say, I'm not questioning the word of the Lord. I'm just presenting the fact. And they'll be like, I don't want to hear none of that. All I want to hear is about my Lord Jesus Christ. And I mean, see, the thing is with our people, we have because of the experience of our people, um, we have a tendency to take things and run with it. Okay. Primarily our people are Judeo-Christian in um nature. You see what I'm saying? Because they grew up in the church, you know. That's what they know. You see what I'm saying? So everything that our people do, they do it with that same mindset. And so when we find different ideologies and things of that nature, we take them and we hold tight to them and we become dogmatic. Okay. And with that dogma, they become very convicted. And it's very hard to get our people to think differently once they hold on to these ideologies, because of the fact that it's like it's something that, they found that new crutch. It was the church before. Now it's the mosque, or they become Hebrew Israelite, and it's the Hebrew Israelite thing. you know it becomes, now it's the Aboriginal movement, you know and you can't tell them, any different. you know
That
they join a Moor science temple and they get into that dogma, and you can't sway them any differently. So I'm saying all that to say that you have to always be fluid. You have to always keep an open mind and be prepared to accept something different, because you have different people out here with different agendas. Okay. And so you you know you have to keep an open mind. You wanted to say something, Firebird.
well, you fail to realize uh, that the court is already prejudiced against tribes that are existing now, and they're
Mm-hmm.
not going to be prepared for a new movement to come in there and claim ownership of the land. They're going to ask you, where are your treaties? Where are your land base? Where are your roads? Where's your ancient history? Show us. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to just like accept you. You
No.
know, there's only about 562 or five tribes out of all the thousands of tribes that they even acknowledge. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it would have to be an executive order from a president. A federal court decision. Um, your roles, like I said, who are your people? Where are your antiquities? Where is your archaeology? You know, where were your people? Show me. As soon as they go in, they're going to argue a little bit and shut the book and move on to a tribe that they recognize or someone is
Exactly.
fighting. You understand?
And it's hard to
So
tell someone on the outside looking in these things, because they've been so brainwashed, that they think, or that they know it all, you know, um, and they you can't tell them otherwise. And like I said, they are on the outside looking in. You're getting information from the inside, telling you on the outside, and that's the arrogance that comes with these movements, and the ideologies. you know
where's your treaties, guys? Where are your treaties? Where are your Antiquities, where is your land base? Where are your cave drawings? Where are your pictures and books that you can prove that that tribal picture that someone drew is from your people? You know, are they extinct now? You know, where you know, first, and treaties are very, very important, very important.
Yep.
You
So
know,
where is the Aboriginal Treaty?
yes, where is it? What battles did you fight in with my people or some of your people? You know, where is it in history? Where is it in the historical society in your town?
Okay, hold on. We have
You
a
know,
comment here. We have a comment here. I'm gonna post it. So we're gonna weigh in on this right here. And please, Juggernaut, no offense. What we're doing right now, we're chopping up things so that you can be able to, let's say if you do decide, you have some legal issues, you know, it's better that you air it out right here than you go to court and you get jammed up. Okay. So let's take a look at it. All right. So
well,
Juggernaut
if he
says,
wants to go,
hold on
he's
1 second, Faber.
proving.
Let me read the comment. Being a Moor or Muslim does not prevent one from being a descendant of First Nation people. Can you rephrase that one more
I
time?
understand what he's saying.
Hold on, let me. Being a Moor or
I,
Muslim
I
does
want
not
to answer that too.
prevent. Yeah, your religious beliefs doesn't prevent you from
We spoke of
anything.
this yesterday.
Yeah,
We
your
spoke of
religious
this
beliefs,
yesterday. That has nothing to do with your ancestry.
right?
You know, I have friends that are you know, indigenous, and some of them are Muslims. Some of them practice the Jewish faith, but they can
Mm-hmm.
prove on paper who they are, and that's the downfall of the court system because you have to show some ancestry, you know, and proof. I mean, I don't doubt you, Juggernaut, but you know, if you're planning to go to court, that's not even the first step. The first step would be trying to
Right,
um, find your descendant on some roll or something. You know, many people fall through the system of not being able to claim because of the prejudice of the court, you know, and it's purposely done, you know. Even if you're federal, you're under their thumb, you
now,
know.
yeah. Now let me ask you a question, Judge Juggernaut. Do you feel that it is Moor and Muslim, are those two mutually exclusive? And the reason why I'm asking, because I know there's gonna be some other people with the same questions. It depends on what.
Do they know what a CDIB card is?
I doubt it. On what you
Well,
consider, okay, on what he says, I'm gonna post his comment. Okay, beautiful. On what you consider, oh wait, that's the wrong one. Hold on, let me post the right comment because I clicked on the wrong one. It depends on what you consider it more. Okay, now you're talking. All right, yeah, because um Muslim is a religion, Moor is not. Okay, Moor is more dealing with nationality. Okay, Um, so yeah, you can be a Muslim. You could. There's people on the reservation who are Muslims. They're Christians. I know a whole lot of them who are Hebrew
It
Israelites.
has
You
nothing
know,
to do with your blood. Your
Buddhists.
blood
Yeah, Buddhists.
has
You
nothing to
know,
do with your blood.
yeah. Do y'all know what a CDIB? Okay, some of them. Certificate what? Okay, Little Mayhem. Okay, yeah, he says so. Certificate of blood degree. Yes, certificate. CDIB stands for Certificate Degree of Indian Blood. Okay,
Or belong to a tribe.
right.
These are the type of things they do to pedigree you. You
Mm-hmm.
know, remember, so much is based on land greed and money grants and stipends and things like that. That's why all this was set up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Exactly. Juggernaut wants to make a statement. Sure, you can make a statement, Juggernaut. And again, we're not trying to put anybody on the spot. We're just putting stuff on the table so we can look at
Just
it and
telling you what to be prepared
what to be
for, you know.
prepared for, you know. Because I see a lot of people getting jammed up. I see Moors getting jammed up for misinformation. A lot of them think they know law and they do not know law. You know, I see people calling
There's
themselves
such a thing called Indian law.
aboriginals. Mm-hmm.
Indian law is a separate category.
Right, right. It's a separate category.
Now, why would they have Indian law? Everything is to control, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Then a lot of these terms that people are using, you know, um, you know, put you under their jurisdiction, you know.
Little Mayhem wants to know, when we speak of Moor as a nationality, what nation does Moor fall under?
Let me post the comment up for 1 second. Okay, so first
Hi,
before,
Dakota Nashoba. I know.
huh? What
Hey,
happened? What'd you say?
Dakota Nashoba.
Oh, okay, yeah.
On
So
Indians, on the Indian title. Yes.
yeah, hold on. Let's just do one comment at a time, Firebird. Um,
I just recognized someone's name.
okay. So we have Lil Mayhem, Wild Indian TV. Okay. So more again, um, more as a nationality. Okay. A lot of people are under the assumption that more is synonymous with African, and it's not. Okay. Sorry to burst anybody's bubble, but it's not. Um, when you talk about Moor, you have Moors all over the planet. Okay, you have Moors. You just talking about uh, um, uh, an Aboriginal presence, a dark skinned person. Okay, um, and you find these dark skinned people all over the planet. You find them in Africa, yes. You find dark skinned people, dark skinned Aboriginal people in Australia. You find dark skinned Aboriginal people in New Zealand. You find dark skinned Aboriginal people in India. You find dark skinned Aboriginal people in those different Pacific islands, Melanesia, Polynesia. You find uh, dark skinned Aboriginal peoples in China, find dark skinned Aboriginal people in the Philippines, dark skinned Aboriginal peoples in Japan, dark skinned Aboriginal peoples in the Americas. What's
That's
you know
not
what?
really going to hold up in court here on
Yeah,
Turtle Island because
dark,
there's
dark
no. It's not
Dark-skinned
going to be
people
a
are right
separate
here. You
category.
know, what makes you think dark-skinned Aboriginal people are not right here in the Americas? You know, dark-skinned Aboriginal people in the Caribbean islands, dark-skinned Aboriginal people in Canada, dark-skinned Aboriginal people in North America, dark-skinned Aboriginal people in Central America, dark-skinned Aboriginal people in South America. You know,
They're not going to separate in court here. You know, they're not going to separate whether you're dark or medium or light because so many tribes have a blend of colors within that it would be very hard to say, okay, well, you're original because you're dark skinned.
okay, here is another comment. So, well, how come I seen some pale face Moors in my research? I can say the same thing. How come I see pale skin Native Americans in my research?
Well,
Same
first of
thing.
all, the Moors were everywhere, not just in Africa. You know, they were light skinned. They had some had chinky eyes, some had coarse hair, some had very straight hair. People think Moors are just dark skinned people from Africa.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let me see. Yes.
I
There's a
mean, even
comment.
Christopher Columbus brought someone, a Moor from Spain, you know.
Do I feel? Do you all think all people come from the soil all at the same time on all lands? I don't believe that. No, I don't. I don't. I don't believe that. Um, let's see what else. Um, let's see. Anyway, we'll get into all the comments, because there's new comments and there's comments um, that are specific to what this particular lesson is about, lecture is about, and some of those comments have already been addressed. So I'm not going to address every single comment. I'm just going to stick with the ones that are relevant to the topic of today. Okay. And you can always go back to the previous lectures, but I make it a habit not to repeat information because otherwise you're not going to get any new information. And I told y'all before, there's a lot more information to cover. So Firebird, we're going to hold off on those comments for right now, and we're going to deal with the discussion at hand. And for those who have other questions, at the end, we can address some of those because I'm not trying to be here 3 hours like we did yesterday. I have other things to do. So we're going to stick with the topic at hand, and we can address some of the comments in the comment section when we do the next live. Okay, so please, in the comment section, post your comments, and we will eventually get to them, but we want to stick with the topic at hand. Otherwise, we won't follow what's on the topic of discussion. Okay. So now, continuing on, let's see here. Because don't worry, your comments and questions will get answered and addressed, even if they don't get answered and addressed in today's live. There's going to be more. Okay. Give me 1 second. And you can talk while I'm doing this Firebird. I just have to pull something up. Firebird.
Hmm.
I said you can I have to pull something up.
I was just reading some of the comments.
Okay. Yeah. I was saying you can talk while I'm doing this. Otherwise, people are gonna get bored. But I just want to pull something up.
Well, as I was stating, here on Turtle Island, it's going to be very hard to go in and, you know, just be a dark skinned Indian person trying to get some rights under the Aboriginal theory, because many of the tribes, especially on the southeast and especially on the northeast, there's such a blend within the tribes of colors, you know, and it'd be very hard to go in with one claim that we're dark skinned, we're the original people in the court, and be acknowledged. The judge might be nice, but he might also, under his robe, laugh, you know, because they have so many guidelines of what they feel is an Indian person or an Indian tribe. And as I stated a few times, they're not going to let but so many tribes have help from them, you know. I mean, like I said, we have thousands of tribes um, recognized by our own that the government does not recognize. They only recognize a little over 562, around that ball figure. And just think of all the thousands and thousands of tribes that were here. I was discussing it with someone on my show. He was showing me a map of the Virginia tribes and how many of them are extinct now. That what's his name? What's that? John Smith from the Pocahontas story map that he drew up. So right there, where are those tribes? You know, they assimilated or they were killed off or something. But there's so many tribal people that should be getting recognition that just won't get it in court, and it's sad, you know. So I wish the Aboriginal movement well, but they're gonna just be like wasting their time if they don't have anything to back up, you know, reparations. I'm seeing claims that they want reparations and, you know, acknowledgement, but you know, the cards are against you because there's certain guidelines of what they want you to have to be accepted. You know, do you have treaties? You know, do you have,
Exactly.
you know, anthropology, archaeology? Do you have a land base? Are your people still living in that area, and can you prove who they are? Are they on rolls? You know, so I don't even know why this movement came about, really. You know, the desire to claim what you are, it's just not enough in the court, because I mean the courts are even against us, that they acknowledge, you know. So new movements, um, people might go get land and start their own movement out there, but that doesn't mean you're going to be, you know, you might get what do you call it, a proclamation eventually, but you won't get state or federal recognition. You know, you might get a proclamation because you're doing some good things out on the community and you're telling the public about who you are and your people, you know, but legally, you don't really have much to stand on, you know.
Yeah. I'll be with you in just a second. I would take what she's saying very seriously because again, she's someone that is on the inside. Okay.
I mean,
On
we
the
go to the United Nations Indigenous Peoples Forum, and we argue and bigger on rights of all indigenous people, North, South, Central America, for our rights, you know, but that hasn't changed many things. I mean, it helps, you know, United Nations, it helps to be listened to, but some of those tribes that come in there are still at a standstill of, you know, getting rights and their voices heard. You know, it's even that's separate. You know, it's not a blend of different countries coming in there and sitting with you and hearing your cause. You know, it's strictly indigenous. You know, you may get a guess, but it's strictly indigenous. You know, so we still have a long battle to go. You know, and look at it this way: it's like having a calendar, and that judge has to fulfill that calendar of events and things like that before he gets to Aboriginal movement issues. If that was the case, he's going to take care of all what they classify as legitimate tribal concerns. You know, discussion of treaties and what you may need, and ceremony. Ceremony is very important. You know,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Talk about
ceremony.
that, Firebird.
Yeah, ceremony is very important to, you know, the spirituality of Native people. You have to be in it. You have to be practicing it. You know, that's a major event that we have is ceremony. You know, are these Aboriginals, are they doing ceremony just for their own spirituality? Really, what are they practicing? What is their stance? You know, if someone could tell me what their stance is. You know, is it just to get land back or to also be recognized as indigenous people of this land with no foot to stand on? You know,
That's right.
so I really wish them well on their effort, but I can tell them how limited it's going to be. You
Yeah,
know,
it's very limited.
someone may stand there and listen to them, what their claims are. You know, maybe write it down or put it in a newspaper or something, but that might be as far as it goes. You know, you have no treaties, you have nothing. You know, so
Exactly.
um,
They go, what is your what is your language? What is your cosmology?
what is your language, your spirituality, your customs, you know, your regalia, your clothing, your dances, you know,
Yep.
what all of that interplays in what they want us to have, you know, or if you are claiming Indian, the main thing you got to be able to prove it. You know, anybody can come in with regalia clothing, flute. But to get staunch help, you got to be able to prove it. You know, even in Germany, they dress and do beadwork just as well as better than Native Americans, but they're not Native Americans. They have no rights other than having fun, and that's how uh, the courts view you,
Yep.
I'm
Also,
not trying to discourage, I'm just preaching the truth.
yeah. Um, we have another comment I'm going to post up with regards to somebody is weighing in on what you're saying. Um, and I'm only posting it because it's relative to what we're talking about right now. Not that I don't want to get to every comment, but I'm only taking the comments that are relevant to what we're talking about right now. If your question or concern has already been addressed in previous lectures, then I'm not gonna go over that, because it's best that this is part 8. You got to go back to the beginning of the series. And before I post that, I just want to know. I just wanted to say that there's a link that I'm putting here for anyone who is generous enough to leave a donation. Um, and I thank those who have given donations, and I will acknowledge those people um, before we leave. But with that said, there is a comment here. Let me see. Give me a second. I'm gonna post it up. Um, okay, let's see here. Um, yeah, you guys have some good questions and comments, and I thank you all for your questions and concerns. Because that's the only way you're going to be able to talk, um, in these arenas and be taken seriously. You don't want to go before these people and look like a fool. Okay. So we have one here from Stephen Carr. We are. What do you think about this one, Firebird? You want to read it, or you want me to read it?
We are the Cherokee, the Creek, all the tribes that existed before those fictions were created. Very strange how you see us. Who does he mean? Strange how you see us. He's talking about the court system or what?
I'm not sure. Can you clarify, Stephen, on your what you're trying to say here?
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Hopefully, he's still with us. Um, Stephen, can you clarify on your statement? He says, "We are the Cherokee, the Creek,
No.
all the tribes that existed before those fictions were created." Well, first of all, um, a lot of those names that you put up there is fiction. If you want to be real about it, um, okay, um,
He says
you
those fictions.
right. Now he says we are the Cherokee Creek. Which yeah, clarify what you're saying. He's saying that we are the Cherokee Creek, all the tribes before those fictions um, were created. But clarify when you say those fictions, and strange how um, who sees us. Clarify that for us, Stephen, if you're still there. I don't know if he's still there. Um, let's see. We have some more comments. Let's see here. No, none of these are his. Um,
I have a
Um,
question. I have a question for you, Fierce.
mhm,
Have you read anywhere where the Aboriginal movement of Turtle Island used the Australian Aboriginals legal rights movement as a guideline to help their cause here? Because the Aboriginals there, they can prove who they are. You
mhm.
understand the difference?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Um, yeah. I don't know what they're all of what they're doing. I'm not a follower of that particular movement. I am a part of the original movement that predated today's Aboriginal movement, which is what today's Aboriginal movement was hijacked from. Okay, we are the original. Um, I couldn't tell you much about what the present day Aboriginal movement is doing in those regards. Um, now, um, in regards to the last comment about the Cherokee and the Creek and all that, a lot of those terms are fictional in and of themselves. The original people that they're called Creek, that is not their original name. Okay, um, that term Creek was applied to um, the people that you call Creek or Muskogee speaking peoples. You know, I say it like my elder Chief Reggie said. You know, they applied they called us by our addresses and not by our names. Okay, they called them Creek because they were by the creek, but that wasn't their name. That was just their address. Okay, um, you know,
From
um,
the Creeks became the Seminoles, a branch of the
exactly.
Creeks became the Seminoles or the runaways, the ones that left. They're all the same people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know, um, Cherokee, and all of that. You know.
Cherokee is a Choctaw word, you
Mm-hmm.
know, people of the cave or people that from the mountains,
Mm-hmm.
or people that spoke different. And that's
Exactly.
how the word Cherokee came about. Chalagi or Charagi.
Exactly. Yep. So all these little, fine details, um, you have to be able to, be clear on. Um, Let me see. But let's go back to um, what I was referring to with regard to this particular movement. And we just have, see, it's going to be, like you said, it's going to be very difficult for them to have a case because, again, they're going to, if you want to be acknowledged and you don't have, see, this is where you know you see I hear a lot of people getting in debates with people and stuff like that, from the pan-africanists or even from the people called mongoloids, this, that, and the other. And you know if you can't speak with clarity on questions like what is your cosmology, what is your language, and things of that nature, you don't have a leg to stand on, you know. Um, and these are the things that happen when you have a movement that plagiarized ideas and ideologies and paradigms from another movement and then claim it as their own. And you only take bits and pieces of that movement and try to claim it as your own. You don't have a strong foundation, okay? Um, because let me go forward with one of the comments here. Um, there's another comment that says, and again, I'm not going to call any names here. Um, and in this comment, it says here, um, and again, we're not, trying to put anybody on the spot or try to,
Hurt feelings.
yeah, hurt feelings or anything like that. We're trying to make it so that you can be more solid with what you're trying to do. So it says, I think that due to our people being used and abused by our own as well as others makes us standoffish about the Moors, being that we know the history of the Moors. They are synonymous with these dark skinned Europeans that came here, sailed, and navigated the sea. So, with that being said, the youth are putting two and two together. Not all Moors are bad, which is true, but we can't negate the fact that the Moors created or helped create Masonry, which has proven to go against our people and hide knowledge and truth. Okay, let's just stop right there. We'll deal with those points first. Okay. So let's see. Oh, I'll go a little further. They said everybody wasn't a Moor because one, everybody ain't Muslim, and two, everybody ain't part of a seafaring nation here and have married in with them. I'm not saying you haven't done plenty of research, Elder, but what I'm saying is that the people you're describing are in history doing a lot of wicked things, and they are definitely a part of colonization in America. Okay, so we'll deal with certain points with regards to that. So, um, again, you have to do a little more research, my friend. Um, Firstly, when you say things like when you say things like we were not part of a seafaring nation, okay, so um, there's major problems with that. And see, I've been to college, um, I have a couple of degrees, um, and I know that we learned that in college, okay. Um, but what I also learned based on my own research is that that stuff that they're teaching in college is also part of white supremacy. Okay. And when they say things like, um, we were not a seafaring people, that has its roots in white supremacy. Okay. Um, because surely, um, if you really do your research, you will know that American Indian people were indeed seafarers. That's totally false. Okay. Um, you need to get a book. Um, get a book called The um, Africans and Native Americans by Jack Forbes. Get another book called The American Discovery of Europe by Jack Forbes. Okay. Jack Forbes was a Pamunkey professor emeritus, um, who did extensive research and taught about indigenous peoples, um, contributions, and things of that nature to history. And he talked about um, the fact that um, we were going up into Europe and going up into Africa. Okay,
Mm-mm.
seafaring. Okay, also, um, if you then that's not the there's plenty of other books dealing with that as well, um, that talk about indigenous peoples um, seafaring. Okay, um, we definitely, that's documented. Okay, and especially when you talk about, see, you talk about seafarers, Moors were seafarers. Okay, so when you're seafaring, you know, um, you're talking about mooring. Okay, um, so that's another, that should be another hint right there as to the Moors not being just exclusive to Africa. Okay, um, so that's that point. But it has its root in white supremacy because they say that we were never a civilized people. Okay, this is what they taught in college. We learned this. They say that people like Africans and Native Americans were um, not um, considered among the bringers of civilization because we were not seafarers and didn't engage in things like trade um, in different parts of the world. Okay, so you have to be careful when you say things like this because you actually solidify white supremacist attitudes. Um, so that's that particular point. And again, I'm not saying that to be condescending. I'm just giving you some information that, like I say, I have tons of information via my research over the years, and hopefully this will be able to help you out so that when you go before these people, when you talk about going to court and stuff like that, you got to be careful because you may say things that may reinforce their attitude. They may be like, "Oh yeah, see, he's saying they were never seafarers." Okay, so yeah, you're confirming the fact that we shouldn't grant you what you're looking for because you just confirmed the doctrine of discovery. You people are not civilized, you know. So you got to be careful. When you come before these people, you better be sharp. Am I right or am I wrong, Firebird?
Oh yeah, you know. You remember, you also dealing with racism in the court system.
Yep.
So you better have your info, together. I mean, they can actually even use that against you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, so also let's get to the next part. Um, through my research, the Washita. Oh wait, let me see. Am I okay? Blah 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 blah. Let's see. Okay. Oh wait, let me see. Okay, he also says I ain't a Muslim. We already dealt with that. Um, Moor and Islam is not synonymous. First of all, you had Moors, even among the Moors in Europe. Okay, you had Moors that were Muslim. You also had Moors that were Israelites or Hebrews. You had Moors that were Christian. Okay, so Moor again is not synonymous with Islam. Okay, and this is why again I urge people, don't take my word for it. Do research. You got to read books. And again, I said most people who criticize Moors, they haven't read books on Moors, or if they have, they've just read one or two books, and there's a whole bunch of books out on Moors nowadays. I got at least 20 in my collection. Um, I would suggest that you read um, The Golden Age of the Moor, edited by Ivan van Sertima. Um, I would suggest that you read um, Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie, volumes 1 and 2. Because even in that book, he talks about the Indians that were found in Europe. Okay. Um, Read um, the go I'm sorry, The Story of the Moors in Spain by Stanley Lane Poole, and The Story of the Moors After Spain by Stanley Lane Poole. A whole bunch of books. This book, Black Arabia, okay, by Wesley Muhammad. Okay, there's a lot of, I got these are just off of my head, but you got to read these books, you know. Um, and so the next part of that comment, says, through my research, the Washita are a group of aboriginals that the Moors came here and have married in with them. Um, okay. Now that is not true. It is partially true, but it's not 100% accurate. Okay, so now when we talk about and this ties in, and I'm reading this because it ties in with our topic of discussion. So what you call the Aboriginal movement today. Okay, um, it well, before I let me read the rest of the comment. I'm gonna skip to, okay. I'm not saying that you haven't done your research, Elder, but I'm saying that the people you're calling did colonization. Not every Moor was bad, which is true, and all have to be ridiculed for what some Moors did. Blah blah blah, which is true. Okay, but let me just help you out with some parts of the comment there, so that you can be able to articulate this um, with great clarity when you speak on the topic. Um, so, with regards to the Washita, um, you're talking to someone here um, who was a card carrying member of the Washita, yours truly. Okay. And I can say that that is not true. The Washita, um, see again, see what you call the Aboriginal movement of today. You're talking about something that came out of the Moors. Okay. The various Moorish movements. Okay. So, um, they hijacked the lessons from the Moorish circle of mothers and sons, the Washitas, also the Moors Order of the Round Table, which was created by Taj Tariq Bey. Okay, um, and in particular the oh well, let me not leave out um the the Moorish paradigms that Hakim Bey put out back in the days, um and they repackaged all of this stuff and put the label, repackaged it as the Aboriginal movement. Okay, and when you do stuff like that, you're gonna have a foundation that is not solid because you're taking only parts. and the Washita, in particular, because the Washita um, came from the Aboriginal perspective, okay, but what they left off is that it was the Washita they dug the Moundja nation of Moors.
Mm-mm.
Okay, there was no Moors came in and infiltrated the Washita or nothing like that. That was made up. You've been lied to about that. Because the Empress from day one came out as a Moor, MU apostrophe UR. Okay, and that was from day one. Okay, and she said we are Washita Moors from Mu, akin to the Moors of Africa. Okay, and that's via the Moors that came over here. Okay, and mixed. That part of what you're saying is correct. There were Moors that came in and mixed with the Washita and other tribes, um, etc. Um, this is my wife. Firebird, can you take over for me for a second?
Um, you got some questions. The first time I heard it's been more was in reference to the Moorish Nanaco. Oh, the first time. Oh, okay. Okay. Much respect for having you answer my questions, Elder. I'm only looking for both. So it is safe to say that we were the colonizers because I seen a painting of Montezuma and they had big buildings. Yes, they were very established, Montezuma and his people. They even had sewage drain, more advanced than the Europeans at the time that invaded them. They had elaborate setups in their cities. Christopher Columbus was Moorishka. He's right. So you mean to tell me that Moors are all over the world? Yes, they are. They're all over the world, and
Okay, I'm back.
they come
Oh
in
yeah,
all skin. They come in all skin colors. Little mayhem. Just like just substitute being a more like for a Christian. Christians are all over everywhere. That's an example. Maybe something you may not want to hear, but they come in all colors, all countries. Not the only a group that spread out. You know, Islam is actually the biggest religion in the world over Christianity. Islam is the number one. You know,
I love these comments and questions. They're good. They make good talking points, and it's good to put everything on the table. And that's how you learn. You guys can learn from me. I can learn some things from you. It's all good. I don't have an agenda, so I just put the information out there, and you do with it whatever you want to do. I'm not gonna try to sway anyone in particular. I just put the information out there. So let me continue. Um, so um, yeah. So the Um, and I'm gonna put this comment up here because it ties in with what I'm getting ready to say.
Now, did Little Mayhem mean that when he said that the Moors were the colonizers? That's what he said.
I'm
Uh,
I'm I'm very familiar with what he's saying.
oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
trying to understand it because all Moors didn't do exactly the same thing.
Right.
You
And I'm
know,
gonna I'm gonna bring.
Which
Give me
group
one
is he
second.
talking about?
I'll be right back. I'm gonna get a couple of references off of the bookshelf.
Okay, he'll be right back. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, Little Mayhem. You know, it is what it is. I mean, I deal with these systems and the whites. Um, I mean, they take so much land, and some of these court officials, they actually live where the people are that come into their court system to fight them. So they're not necessarily always going to be in the favor of that particular tribe, because they have something, um, you know, to lose, as well as the town people that's fighting against a tribe that is trying to reclaim their land bases. I won't say any particular name of a tribe, but there's some tribes that have a lot of celebrity neighbors because it's considered rich land. It's considered land by the water, great property. So, you have to fight the town people, and some of the town people are the very judges that you're fighting, you know. So, the court system can be, you know, you look and you say, oh, that man up there, he's going to be on my side, but actually he might be on the town side, you know, a lot of dirty politics in the court system, you know. So I'm just trying to teach you and not try to say hurt anyone's feelings. Uh, the subject of like dark skin aboriginals, that's really not going to pan in court. you know um, they'll use that actually against you because they can say, oh, well, you're on the northeast, and uh, our tribes up here have all different shades in them, so what makes you think you're so special, you know
That's a
and
good point. I'm gonna weigh in on I'm
okay,
gonna
go
tie that.
ahead. i
I'm
was
gonna
just I was
yeah
just filling in.
yeah I'm gonna tie that into um what I was getting ready to say actually. Um
Really, we're on the same plane.
yeah, we are. That's why I say I'm gonna tie it in. Um so
It's a lot of dirty pool in the court system when it comes to Native people.
yeah, and I should say that that can be used against you. And again, um because what happens is um you're mixing apples and oranges, and also um you're taking someone else's ideology without giving the credit to where um that ideology came from. Okay, it's just like back in the days, there was a group called Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, you know and there was a song called Hustlers Convention, you know and that song Hustlers Convention, yeah, Melly Mel. And there was a song by the Last Poets, you know, that was the exact same song, the Hustlers Convention. Okay. Um, and so, but you can't uh, 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 big up the Last Poets because then people know where it came from. But of course, later on, he did acknowledge, that the Hustlers Convention was, straight up, last poets, um, but
Yeah.
you know, they have
Um,
taken elements of the um, the Moors because again, the Washita, okay, it was what they call now the Aboriginal movement is a spinoff of the Washita, as well as taking credit from those other um, Moorish movements, and adept lessons. I spoke about that. I'm not going to get too deep into that because I already spoke on that. So you have to go back to the earlier lectures. But I talk about how they took the adept lessons um, coming from the Moors, and they used those lessons and incorporated it into what you call the Aboriginal movement today. The only thing is that they took the Moor equation out of that. Okay. And so now they're trying to assert themselves as being Indians without the Moor element, and it's not going to work because um, you're going in with half of the paradigm. You see what I'm saying? So if you try to go to court saying, okay, well, we're Indians, and the Indians are looking at you like, no, you're not Indians. Those who are tribally, recognized, whether state or federal, they're looking at you like, I go to powwows all the time. Firebird does too. They don't know anything about you people. Matter of fact, most of them are criticizing you. Am I right or am I wrong, Firebird?
you're right. Back up a
In a
moment.
positive way.
Um, Little Mayhem said he's found out that now I hear we all Moors. I'm not
Yeah,
Moorish.
I'm not. I'm saving that. I'm saving that. Because I'm gonna tie that in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I just
Um.
want him to know that I personally, I'm not Moorish, dear. You know, I'm not.
Yeah. So now, when you talk about the Aboriginal movement of today, okay, um, they're gonna go in court and try to assert themselves as Indians, and they're gonna be sadly mistaken. I've seen more. I'm not Moors. I've seen people call themselves Aboriginals try to confront these tribes and try to get on their rolls, and they're like, you nothing but a nigger. Okay, get your behind out of here. We don't recognize you. Okay. And there a lot of people in that community are being shunned, and they're getting their feelings hurt by trying to claim these things. Okay. Now, if they were to okay do their research and find out where um, their ideology comes from, then they'd have a stronger argument. Okay. Um, and again, so this comment here, um, he's saying, give me 1 second. Let me read it. I'm going to look on the
And
other.
if they don't call you a nigger, they'll just say, "Where's your family? Where's your proof you're related to us?"
Exactly.
You
Um,
know, they may not call you a name, but they want to know your genealogy and can you prove it?
yeah. And so I'm going to go on the other screen to read the comment because it's too small. The font is too small for me to read on this laptop here. So I'm gonna go on the other screen here. Give me 1 second.
Mm-mm. There's a lot of questions for you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna take all of them. Um,
I know, but they're vital questions.
yeah, but if they're not relevant to the topic, or if I've already addressed them in previous questions, I mean, in previous lectures, I'm not gonna go backwards. We're moving forward with the topic um, of today. Um, and then I can, they can go back and they can look at the previous lectures. Okay, so Little Mayhem Wild TV says, so you mean to tell me that Moors are all over the world and claiming one nationality? I'm
Mm-mm.
so confused. I'm really just getting true knowledge of my indigenous roots, and now I hear we are all Moors. I know it's confusing, brother. I know. And right now, we're just trying to make sense of the madness. It's I would hate to be someone who's just coming into consciousness right now. I see you shaking your
I,
head, my bird.
I, I, I'm
I
trying
would
to get
hate
over
to be
yesterday's
like,
show, Boom Bat. You heard what I said? I'm still trying to get over Boom Bat.
boom bap, right? I would hate to. Oh my goodness. Um, so I didn't. There was a mention about Moors being colonizers, this, that, and the other. Again, see a lot of the information is coming from. Well, all of the information is coming from the Moors and the Pan Africanists. Okay, the more hatred that comes from what you call the Aboriginal movement today is it actually there's two roots of ideologies coming from the what you call the Aboriginal movement today. It's coming from number one, the paradigm is coming from the Moors. However, the hatred toward the Moors is coming from the Pan Africanists. So if you're a Moor hater, you're actually a Pan Africanist. Okay.
Isn't there
Um,
is isn't there another group south of the border?
um, of who?
Another group hating on the Moors south of the border, which fought them for
Um,
many years.
oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know. Um, but I'm referring to where this particular movement is getting it from.
Mm.
And it has its roots in Pan Africanism. Okay. Um, and for years, but again, you know, and the whole, before I get into that, so the ideologies are coming from the Moors, and in terms of the Moors being colonizers, a lot of recent information, is coming from this series of books right here, um, The Negro Question by Lee Cummings. See, I read these books. I have these books in my library. A lot of these people who are quoting this stuff, they don't even have the books. I have the books. Okay, so I'm very familiar with the ideology. Okay, the Negro Question, the 13 Black Colonies, um, the the Negro Question Part 4, the Missing Link, you know, um, King of the Scots with King James and Britain and the Irish and all of that. Okay, but guess what? The Moors were saying this even long before these books were even written. I know, I got the lessons right here. you know, um, so I say this stuff, even the stuff that a lot of it's coming from. You hear a lot of people quoting from When Rocks Cry Out. I have the book right on the shelf. I can go grab that too by Horace Butler. Okay, I've been at those books. Um, however, even that's not new. The Moors were saying that, and I want to acknowledge Six Finger She right here, because he must be old enough to remember. So the Moors was the first to push the paradigm of us not being African and being indigenous. It was stolen from them. So he must be someone who's, um, of age, to know, when a lot of this stuff was jumping off, you know. Again, I'm not pushing any particular ideology on anybody. I'm just presenting the information, and you can do with it whatever you want, because me personally, I'm good. Firebird is good, you know. So now, if you wanted to try to make the argument, going back to the, you would be better going to the source of the information, and trying to make a claim based on that. You know, one thing I like about Noble Prophet Noble Drew Ali is that he had a movement that was, um, that included, um, uh, um, all of our people here. Let's say who, because let's just be real about it. Because of paper genocide, you're gonna have a lot of people who can't prove a lot of stuff. Let's just be real about it. You know, you have a lot of people who they don't have the paper trail for whatever reason. You know, um,
Can I say something before I forget?
mm-hmm,
Can I say, Little Mayhem was wondering about how can you trace, the tribes with the roles? You have to do your family research. You have to ask the elders, find out the towns they lived in, the people. Uh, Go to historical societies and do a research on tribes that lived in the towns where your families were from.
yep,
Search the different type of roles. There's many roles.
mm-hmm,
See if you can match some family names and roll number on there, and that help you
and the
much.
Mormons,
And the Mormons down in Manhattan. They have a database on Native Americans like crazy.
mm-hmm,
So, look in your family Bibles, look
yep,
for
that's what I
marriage
did.
and death certificates,
Yep, that's how I got
so I
mine.
hope that helps you. I hope that helps you, Little Mayhem,
Yep,
you know,
and
especially start with your elders in your family, what they heard about your family, the town that they were born in, marriage death certificates.
mm-hmm,
Go on and databases and look for names that you might recognize, and you know,
yeah,
and
you
then
have to.
approach the tribes.
Yeah, until you do that, don't even think about approaching the tribes. Don't even think about it. You know, and because you don't want to get out there, and you get rejected, and you just become discouraged. Then y'all go back off and y'all become Pan-Africanists, and you know, ADOS, and all of this stuff. You know, um, yes, 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 yes. Six Finger She, indeed. That's right. Bibles with family history is an official affidavit that can be used for genealogy facts. Yep, I got mine. Yep, yep.
I mean, for me, it was never really a struggle. Everybody has a different story
Right,
to
exactly. Me, it
tell
wasn't a
about their
struggle.
family.
I got it from my grandmother, and then from there, I used that as my foundation to do further research. But I had it from day one.
Yeah, and my they were practicing indigenous people. So I pray for everyone to be able to have the um, opportunity to find out their heritage.
Yeah, you know, and that's how you got to do it. Firebird, was practicing from day one. I started practicing later on. You know, but I had that foundation that I got from my elders. Um, to be able to do what I'm doing today. You know, um, so now back to what I was saying. Now, let's say you do all of that and you still not able to prove anything. Again, that's what I was saying before. That's what makes again, I'm not telling anyone to go in any direction. I'm not endorsing, any movement, nothing like that. I'm just putting the information out there. I don't want you to go and, say, I told you to do this, that, and the other. I'm just saying, if you're going to go with the narrative of being an American Aborigine, know where that ideology comes from and do your research on where it originated, what the ideology was, and use that foundation. Okay. Um, and again, it has its roots in the Moors. Okay. Now, if you want to say, okay, well, um, I'm a descendant of Moorish mound builders, you know, um, ancient people, Paleo Americans or whatever, you know, um, that's another thing in and of itself, you know. Um, then you have a different argument. And it will be an argument that has some type of foundation. But to take the ideology of the Moors um, and not say that's where it's coming from, that's where you're gonna have problems because you only have half of the story. Okay, um, but I do like what Prophet Noble Drew Ali had set up. Particularly for those who may do all of that research or whatever and may be unsuccessful. Okay, then you can come at it from that angle. All right. And with that being said, so I want to take a look at another part of that particular comment. Um, and so let's see. It says here, um, okay, um, Freemasonry. Okay. Um, Moors created or helped create Freemasonry. um, and it goes against our people and hides knowledge and truth. Well, first of all, um, no, Freemasonry does not hide knowledge and truth because most of what you want to know about Freemasonry is already out in the public. It's in your libraries, it's everywhere. Okay. Um, the other part of that is no, the Moors did not. Well, let me. Yeah, again, this is based on your perception of what a Moor is. Okay. Um, because again, when you're talking about Moors, they were Moors here, you know. And probably in the next lecture, I will give you. See, I'm spoiling my book, man. Y'all are making me spoil my book, you know. I want y'all to support the book, but all right. Being that I'm getting enough people interested in the topic, I'm gonna start coming forward with more information. You know, um, because I've been keeping certain, and I also like to be prepared, in case somebody like wants to challenge. I like to have that extra stuff in the war chest. You know, um, but yeah, I'll start coming out with some more information. Um, all right, yeah, but some
We
people.
also have an agency. We also have a agency that I really feel should be disbanded that controls everything Indian, and that's the
Oh, the
Bureau of Indian Affairs,
BIA, yeah, exactly. Yep.
BIA. So you could encounter that in a court setting as well. You
That's
know,
true.
they control the tribes. They
Mm-hmm.
actually have much to do with the federal recognition of tribes and disbanding tribes and the whole 9 yards. They're like, uh, it was put together to control Indians,
Yep.
uh, and they're still doing it. The Bureau of Indian Affairs,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you know, so you have to deal with agencies as well.
Mm-hmm. Um. So. Um. Yeah. So back to the Moors, in Masonry. So yeah. So, um, again, what you want to know about Masonry is already out in the public. So nobody in that particular fraternity is hiding anything. Um, so now, in terms of creation, um, of masonry, so Moors created masonry. Again, your definition is just relegated to the Moors in Africa. Then, however, but there were Moors or dark skinned people all over, and they're not all the same. Okay, um, just like all Indians are not the same. There are
Nope.
many tribes of Indians. Okay, to just make a blanket statement about Indians, you're gonna be way off the mark. Um, Same thing with the Moors. There's tribes here that were called Moor. Okay, and I'm talking about that called themselves Moor. And I have that documentation. I've been saving that for years, because I want y'all to get the book, you know. But I got a whole bunch of documented tribes that called themselves Moors. I'm talking about that was their name for the tribe that they gave themselves. Okay. Um, and I'm not just, a lot of people say, oh, you're talking about the Lenape. No, I'm talking about other tribes, you know. But that's another subject for another time. Um, but in terms of masonry, so okay, so well, you say so based on your assumption here, you're feeling that Freemasonry started over in England, um, with some Caucasian, or even if you get a little more educated, some dark skinned Europeans, blah 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 blah. You know, however, you gotta dig a little more deeply. And again, like I told you, I was probably the first one to do an essay on American Indian Freemasonry. Okay. And you probably missed the last lecture. I showed you how damn near every Indian chief was a Freemason who sold the land out, okay, to the colonizers. Okay. And some people were saying, well, weren't those colonizers Moors? It don't matter what the colonizers were. The fact that Indians participated makes them just as guilty. That's just like saying, well, there's some guys across the street, they about to rob a bank. They asked me me and Firebird, if we, want to join in and get some of that shmoney. And we decided to go along with them, and then everybody get caught, and we in court. Me and Firebird are in court, and we're like, well, they're the ones, that asked us to come along with them. They asked us, and guess what they're gonna say in court? They're gonna kick you in your behind in that jail cell, or throw you under the court, as well as laugh you under the
Wait for it. Wait for it.
you know but you find, among the American Indian, you find the earliest forms of Freemasonry. Okay. um all you have to do, look at Mayan artwork. I'm not going to go into detail on that. All I'm going to say is look at Mayan artwork. You're going to see a whole bunch of Freemasonry. I'm not going to expose their secrets and stuff like that. So, those of you who are Freemasons and this, that, and the other, don't, get shook up or anything like that. But, look at some of the artwork and stuff that's right here in North America. And you're going to see Freemasonry long before any Europeans got here, or anybody who are dark-skinned Moors from North Africa or wherever in Africa got over here. Okay. So that that pretty much gives clarity on the Freemasonry thing. And on that note, we went way over. Well, not way over. What time I said we were gonna finish at in an hour. It's been how much time since we started, Firebird?
You started at 3.
No, it was later than 3. I think we started at 5:40 or something like that.
5.
5:45 or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
No, we went past that.
yeah, we went way past that, and that's why I didn't want to take too many comments, because I wanted to um, stick to the topic. But I'm gonna look back over this video, and I'm gonna look at the comments, and I'm gonna make sure that anybody who had questions and concerns get those answered. Because all we're trying to do, as people who are senior in this whole thing, is to give some clarity, so that people don't get disillusioned, or don't wind up in jail, or don't wind up just getting so confused. They just say, hey man, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna put a dashiki on. Not that I have anything against dashikis, or people in Africa. I actually, I don't know where the hatred for Africa came from, because the original American Aborigines, we didn't have a problem with Africa. I don't know where all well, I don't want to call any groups out, but um, I'm not even gonna go into that. But you know, you never had any hatred towards Africa. We were just saying that, not all of us came over here via the transatlantic slave trade. That's what we were saying, you know. And we were saying, which I still say today, that the um, darker melanated people, dark copper colored people um, of the Americas were the original people here in the Americas before other people came and mixed in and changed the phenotype. Okay. Um, and that is real. Okay. Um, but that's not to exclude those of the Asian phenotype, you know, um, because over time people mix and marry, and the bloodlines become blended, you know. So, by default, we're all related, you know. Um, and so I would also like to acknowledge those who have left donations. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. What's today's date? Today is the 21st, right? So let's see. Um, I want to acknowledge Doreen Glover for leaving a donation. It's much appreciated. Um, and again, we appreciate any donations. And trust me, any donations, they are going to a good cause. It's going to help to upgrade the presentation. Um, and charity works. Some of the elders that you've seen on this Red Road East program right now, and I'm not going to call any names because I don't know if they even want this to be known, but are hospitalized now, okay, and have been hospitalized in nursing homes, stuff like that. Um, so Um, you know, I go regularly to visit people who are um, ill, infirmed. I bring them food, and things of that nature because that's what we do, you know. Um, so, any donations, will definitely be going to good causes, you know. Um, you know, I also want to um, acknowledge 1 second here. Um, 1 second. I'm going through these notifications here. Stephen Reeves, who left a very sizable donation. Uh, um, May the Great Spirit um, bring you good fortune and prosperity. Okay. And I will keep you in, all of you who give donations, I'm going to keep all of you in my affirmations, you know, um, you know, um, things of that nature. Um, and let's see. Um, let's see. else we have here? Have to pardon me for a second.
Mm-mm.
There was another one.
Mm-mm.
I thought there was another one. Okay, well, I guess that's it. Oh wait. Oh yeah, that is it. Okay, yeah. And if anyone else did leave a donation and I didn't get to you, get to acknowledge you, I will the next time. But I believe that that's it. Um, Let me see. I'll leave the link again in case it was missed. That's the link for the donations. Um, and yeah, don't get dismayed if I didn't get a chance to um, to get to your questions. Um,
Mm-mm.
Let me see something here. Uh, oh, someone left a comment. It would be in their best interest to unite with the Africans. Um, I don't have anything against Africans,
Do
Um,
they want to be united?
yeah, those are our cousins, across the water, you know. Um, there's nothing wrong with that, I have no problem with Africa. I told y'all I lived in Africa. I did research over there. You know, um, I like their music. You know, um, I like a lot of the dishes.
Mm-mm.
Um, so I have no problem. We, like I said, we who followed the original paradigm, you know, the before today's Aboriginal movement, we never had a problem with Africa, you know. Um, so again, that stuff started later, you know, um, much later, you know. Um, but yeah, um, let's see who else is in there. I just want to give a shout out to everyone who did join, and we'll get to the rest of the comments, on the next live. Dakota Nashoba, um, thank you for joining in.
I
Um,
know someone with that same first and last name. I'm
yeah,
trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out if that's him.
um, Steven Starr, Romello Lewis, um, Juggernaut.
Mm-mm.
Um, let's see. Let's see. Lil Mayhem, Wild Indian TV, Riley. Um, Man, I wish I had time to get to all of your comments and concerns, but time just doesn't permit. I get 10,000 other things to do. Um, um, Pardon me, y'all, it's my eyes, and I refuse to wear glasses. I'm gonna exercise my eyes. You know, the eyes is like a muscle. You gotta exercise it. I don't want to become dependent on reading glasses. Um, Macon Mills, acknowledge Macon Mills. Um, um, Mike, acknowledge Mike. Um, okay, Mike. Asked a good question. I guess I can put one up before we go. Um, are you saying that? Are you saying take a DNA test to see to prove you are American Indian? Again, um, to just get a DNA test without, just on its face value, is not going to do you much good. When I did mine, I took my results. I uploaded it to GEDmatch and then took my results to um, a brother who specializes in Paleo American DNA. Okay, um, you know, and also um, the thing too is there are some people, and I have to just put this out there because a lot of people in the Aboriginal community today is overlooking the fact that there are some people who don't have genealogy. Okay, they're not as fortunate as we are to have genealogy. Some people were adopted. Um, some people, orphans, and things of that nature, or their family didn't keep good records. I know a whole lot of people who are really struggling with genealogy. You know, um, so one thing you could use the DNA for is good for finding your people who are related to you. Um, I had good genealogy growing up. Like I said, I am unlike a lot of you out there who, just discovering your Indian heritage. I got it, from day one. Um, but genealogy branches out um, so far until there's no way to account for all of your ancestors just with genealogy. Um, so genealogy is an ongoing thing, and one thing that the DNA can help you with is when you want to expand those other branches of your family tree. Um, I know that I had certain surnames, like for instance, some relatives I only had last names for and no first name. However, I met certain DNA relatives that I had never heard of before, and my family had never heard of before. But they had genealogy that we didn't have, and so when I when I was contacted, um, you know, by certain DNA relatives, I was able to take that family tree and you know, combine it with what I had already, and I got over some major roadblocks in certain lines of my genealogy. So, you know, my philosophy is see, again, you can't make anything a religion. You got some people who are, say that, by no means will they use DNA and all that. That may be good for you. but don't make that a blanket, rule for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Because not everybody is gonna be in the same predicament as you are. Okay, for some people, DNA would really help them. Okay, with certain things. You know what I'm saying? Um, there's many ways that you can utilize. Now, we're not going to talk about everything, um, in a public forum. You know, I only put surface thing because there's other people who listen in as well. So, I'm only gonna put a little bit of this information out there. But there's other things you could do with that as well. Um, but you can't let things become dogmatic, because then what happens is, um you wind up getting stuck, without, when you can't move forward. I know Firebird, you wanted to say something.
No, it's basically the same thing that you told them. Just, start your Bibles, start with old family Bibles, town records, if your family can guide you in that particular town, names, you know. I guess we can next time go on some roles that they could try to, you know, look up
Yeah, I
that are
got some of
still
the roles.
standing.
I got some of the roles right here.
Yeah, so maybe on your next show, because I have to go now.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we really appreciate everybody, and I hope this was helpful, for everyone in the chat. Okay, little mayhem. He just dropped the donation. It's much appreciated, family. And
uh,
yeah, I hope that we're able to give you all some tools, because this is, we're not trying to debate or anything like that. We're trying to give you some tools to work with. Because if you are gonna go forward, with trying to be recognized and this, that, and the other, you're gonna need as much info. You're gonna need to be armed with as much accurate information as possible. Okay. Um, and on that note, that's it for me. A Firebird, do you want to say any closing words before we close out?
peace and love, and we'll pick up the next time. I just did a show yesterday on my channel with the descendant of a very famous performer from the past. So you're welcome to come over and look at that interview and a few
You can
others
say
on
you
there.
can say the name. Some of them will be, all familiar.
Well, Cab Calloway, a famous forerunner from the past, he was actually responsible for how the art form hip hop is done today.
Oh
And
yeah, you look at those
he
moves.
performed. Yeah, not only that, but his words, were like how the hip hop artists today tell stories. He was one of the first people to do that style, and he was indigenous.
Mm-hmm.
Great contributions, and his grandson is carrying on his legacy. So come over and check it out, Native Voices, Turtle Island TV, and visit me over there if you want.
Yeah, yeah. You
And
go over there and
whatever
check
I
that.
can help anybody in for their research. The Mormon Church has gazillion database on American Indians, and that's amazing how the government let them have that. But there's a lot of roles that you could try to look on as well. So, whatever I can do to try to help or guide anyone, feel free to ask me. I'll do my best.
Okay, so on that note, till the next time, Doda Dog, eh.
Donadaga honey, peace and love.